Are you truly free to make your own choices? Or is every decision you make predetermined by factors beyond your control? This is a question that has intrigued philosophers, scientists, and thinkers for centuries, leading to the great debate of free will versus determinism. Let's start by understanding what we mean by free will. It's the concept that we as human beings have the power to act independently of natural or social forces. That we have the ability to make decisions that are not influenced by our past, our environment, or our biology. It's the idea that we are the captains of our own ships, charting our own course through the stormy seas of life. Now, contrast this with determinism. Determinism is the theory that every event, every choice, every thought, and every feeling is determined by an unbroken chain of prior occurrences. It's the belief that everything we do is the inevitable result of what came before, a combination of our history, our genetics, and our environment. It's like a domino effect, where each domino falls not because it chooses to, but because it was tipped over by the one before it. These two concepts seem to be at odds with each other, don't they? On one hand, we have free will, the belief in our ability to make independent choices. On the other hand, we have determinism, the idea that everything we do is the result of factors beyond our control. It's a paradox that challenges our very understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos. So do we really have control over our actions? Or are we just following a script written by history, genetics, and environment? This is the question we'll be exploring in this video. So hang tight. Get ready for a philosophical roller coaster ride that will challenge the way you think about yourself and the world around you. Imagine being the author of your life, free to write your own story. That's the essence of free will. This concept, deeply ingrained in our psyche, suggests that we are independent agents, capable of making decisions that are entirely our own. The belief in free will is as old as philosophy itself, with thinkers from Aristotle to Sartre championing the idea. Now let's delve into the philosophical arguments that support free will. One of the main tenets is the principle of alternative possibilities. It proposes that an action is free only if the agent, that's you and me, could have done otherwise. So if you chose to have a cup of coffee this morning, you could have just as easily chosen tea, or nothing at all. This feeling of being able to choose, to have genuine options, that's free will at work. Another argument for free will is the concept of self-creation. This idea posits that we shape ourselves through our choices and actions. Every decision we make, from the monumental to the mundane, contributes to the person we become. If you've ever said, "I am who I am because of the choices I've made," then you've touched on this notion of self-creation. But why does free will matter? Well, it has profound implications for morality and justice. If we are truly free in our decision-making, then we can be held accountable for our actions. It's the bedrock of our legal system, the idea that individuals are responsible for their deeds. However, this concept also carries a weighty responsibility. If we are the authors of our own stories, then we must face the consequences of our actions, whether good or bad. It means owning up to our mistakes, learning from them, and striving to make better choices in the future. If we have free will, then we are the masters of our destiny, responsible for our actions. We are not merely puppets dancing to the tune of fate, but rather, we are the playwrights, the directors, and the actors in the grand theater of life. Now picture a world where every event is a domino falling, triggered by the one before it. Welcome to determinism. This philosophy proposes that every event, including human cognition and behavior, decision and action, is causally determined by an unbroken chain of prior occurrences. While this notion might seem daunting, it has substantial backing from various corners of intellectual discourse. Let's start with philosophy. Determinism has been a central theme in existential thought since the time of the ancient Greeks. The Stoics, for instance, believed that everything in the universe, including our lives and actions, unfolds according to a divine, rational plan. Fast forward to the Enlightenment era. Philosophers like Spinoza and Leibniz argued that our world is a perfectly ordered system where nothing happens without a reason. But it's not just philosophers who've championed determinism. The theory also finds compelling support in the realm of science, particularly from psychology and neuroscience. Studies have shown that subconscious processes, from environmental cues to our genetic makeup, can significantly influence our decisions, often without our awareness. For example, a groundbreaking experiment by neuroscientist Benjamin Libet in the 1980s showed that brain activity predicting a decision can occur seconds before a person is aware of having made that decision. This suggests that our conscious mind might not be the decision maker we believe it to be. Furthermore, advances in neuroimaging technologies have allowed scientists to predict with increasing accuracy the choices individuals will make before they're even aware of their decision. This reinforces the idea that our actions could be the result of a complex interplay of neural processes rather than the outcome of free, conscious deliberation. Determinism therefore challenges our deeply ingrained belief in free will. It suggests that we're not the autonomous agents we think we are, but rather that we're swept along by the currents of cause and effect, our actions predetermined by factors beyond our conscious control. If determinism holds true, then our sense of freedom might be nothing more than an illusion. What if it's not a matter of either or? What if free will and determinism can coexist? Enter compatibilism. Take a step back from the heated debate between free will and determinism and consider a third option. Compatibilism, a philosophical middle ground that suggests these two concepts are not mutually exclusive, but can actually coexist harmoniously. Compatibilists believe that we can be subject to determinism and still make choices freely. It's a perspective that seems paradoxical at first glance, yet it's a concept that offers a compelling resolution to the free will determinism debate. So how do compatibilists reconcile this apparent contradiction? The key lies in understanding their interpretation of free will. For compatibilists, free will doesn't mean the ability to do anything at any given moment. Instead, it refers to the freedom to act according to one's desires and intentions, uncoerced and uninhibited by external constraints. Consider this. If you choose to enjoy a cup of coffee in the morning, did you make that decision freely? Most of us would say yes. But what if you only chose coffee because you were determined by your past experiences, your taste preferences, or even your genetic makeup to favor coffee over tea? According to compatibilism, both can be true. You can be determined by external factors, yet still make a free choice because it aligns with your desires and intentions. This perspective offers a nuanced understanding of freedom and determinism, acknowledging the role of external factors in shaping our choices, while still maintaining the significance of personal agency. It allows us to see ourselves as active participants in our lives rather than mere puppets of fate or entirely free-floating beings. It's a delicate balance, a dance between destiny and decision. And while it may not satisfy all, it presents a compelling case for those who seek to reconcile the seemingly irreconcilable. Compatibilism suggests that we can be free and determined at the same time. Whether we have free will or not, the question has profound implications for our society and our personal lives. Let's consider the concept of guilt, for instance. If all our actions are predetermined, can we truly be held accountable for our missteps? If you subscribe to determinism, every choice we make, good or bad, is simply the result of a complex chain of cause and effect that we have no control over. This perspective could potentially undermine the very basis of our justice system, which is predicated on the notion of personal responsibility. Now let's flip the coin and look at rewards and accolades. If we lack free will, does that mean our achievements are merely the product of our circumstances and not our efforts? If that's the case, then celebrating individual accomplishments could be seen as misguided. After all, it's not a testament to our perseverance or talent, but a fortunate roll of the cosmic dice. And then there's moral responsibility. If we don't possess free will, can we be morally responsible for our actions? If our choices are predetermined, can we be held accountable for failing to uphold ethical standards? The determinist view might make the notion of moral responsibility less meaningful or even obsolete. But let's not get too carried away. Our beliefs about free will are complex and multifaceted. They can influence our behavior and attitudes in a myriad of ways. For instance, if we believe in free will, we might be more inclined to take charge of our lives, to strive for personal growth, and to hold ourselves and others accountable for our actions. On the other hand, if we lean towards determinism, we might develop a more empathetic and understanding approach towards human behavior, recognizing the vast array of forces that shape our actions and decisions. In the end, maybe it's not about finding a definitive answer, but about understanding the complexity of human nature and the paradox of free will.